Hello, welcome to Breakaway with Dawn and Friends. Today, I thought it'd be really good to talk about finding yourself again. I feel at this stage of my life, I wanted to just dig a little deeper and share a little more about my journey into life coaching. And I think we can all resonate with that because at some point in time, we lose ourselves, right? And I think um, we can just maybe talk on that. We can give you some pointers. So, of course, when I go this direction, I have Miss Claudia. Hi, Claudia.
Hi, Don. It's good to be here again. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. When I want to go deep, it's with you.
I love it. Let's go.
But I have to share before we get into this conversation. Um, Again, I don't know how many people listen to the podcast as well as follow me on, social media and see my posts. But a
Right.
lot of times you'll see that I connect the two. And so, Claudia, I don't know if you saw my post
Mhm.
and I shared about my experience that I had the other day. Did you
No,
have
I did
experience?
not.
Okay.
No, I
So,
didn't
and
get the
that's okay.
opportunity. Okay.
So, on Saturday, we had to go visit a friend in the valley. And
Okay.
so we decided to stop at a Starbucks. So, long story short, it was hilarious. It was hot as hell. And we had to walk there. And I'm like, girl, I am not walking back. Like, you go do, I'm gonna take an Uber, whatever, right? So she goes to get her car. So, I explain this because, or share this because if I didn't do all of that, I would have missed this. Okay. So that's why I
Okay.
want to share that. It was an unexpected walk to Starbucks. And then I was like, oh, hell, it's too hot. And she's like, I'm the one going through something. Girl, I'm a delicate flower. And she's like, you're a delicate flower? Yes, I am. And I am not walking back out in that heat. Like, so
Right.
she went to go get her car. So Evie and I were waiting. And so I ordered, my husband and the other husband's drink because, I don't want to walk with their drinks. But anyway, so at the last minute, I'm ordering. So all of this had to happen in order for this encounter. Okay.
Okay.
So all of a sudden, I'm there waiting for my drink, and I turn and see this person that I'm like, oh my God, I know who that is. And, all these things happen fast in your head.
Okay.
So then
Yeah.
I sit there like, oh my God, do I say something? So like a weirdo, I stick my head out to the left and like, hi, and awkwardly, really loud, say hi to the man. And he's like, hello. And I was like, I watched the show.
Oh
And
my
he's like,
gosh.
uh-huh. And he's like, thank you. And I said, I do love it. I said, I was going to boycott the show because, I'm not a fan of, I wasn't a fan of Vanderpump Rules. He's like,
Oh
neither
my
was I.
goodness.
I said, so I didn't care for the show because it seemed like a spin-off of the Vanderpump Rules, right?
Uh-huh.
And so, but I told him, but seeing the trailers each week when I wasn't watching, but seeing the trailers and the realness and the rawness, I'm like, let me see. So one day I decide to watch and I'm glued. I binge watched the damn whole series. He starts laughing and I said, I'm so happy I ran into you because you guys are my favorite couple. And I just want to thank you. I want to thank you and your wife for, sharing your marriage and your struggles because it really is every day. And, he says, yes, this is why we're doing it. We wanted to show a healthy relationship, marriage, whatever. And so
Right.
then I said, okay, well, how are your kids? Because they had like when it was aired the first time. So by the way, it was the Valley. Sorry, it was the
Okay.
Valley. So
Oh, okay. Okay.
they were only 6 weeks old. And
Oh,
so Claudia, if you remember, we I talked about this episode,
I
Claudia. We
remember.
talked about
I remember.
communication, and I
Yes.
told you I have to talk about this, and I told everybody like I watched The Valley, and I even said to you guys I wasn't gonna watch it, but I watched it, and it was comical to see the women, the wives say the complaints about the men, and the
Right.
men say it right. So just to give that little side note, so this is who I'm talking to, and then he says thank you, yeah, all that stuff. He says, oh, what's your name? I'm like, oh, I'm Dawn. Oh, I'm Danny. Oh, this is Evie, whatever. So small talk. So then so he leaves, and
Okay.
then I turn around. Oh, he's like, the wife is in the car. I'm like, oh my God, please tell her I said hi and thank you, whatever. And so then he leaves, and then I remember two things, and then I swear to God, for a split second I turned and looked like, do I run and go out there? If he's like, don't you dare.
Well,
I was like, do I go run and tell him? I had two things to tell him. And she's like, no, that's a weirdo. And I'm like, ah. And if you guys know me, hello, I have a podcast. I need to be heard. So I'm just like, no, but he needs to know these two things, you know? So, oh my, I did not go run out there.
oh, I was like, tell me that you did go
I
out
did
there.
not, okay? But I had half the mind to run out there. Danny, wait. So if you watch the show, you know when I tell him, by the way, I live in Santa Clarita.
Okay,
So
okay.
if you watch the show, you know. And
That is,
so,
yeah.
and then I wanted to tell him that I recorded a whole episode about that episode and the
Fun.
breakdown and communication, and he should
Love
tune
it.
in to Breakaway with Don and Friends. And you guys, it was funny.
That's
I've
hilarious.
met famous people before.
Yeah.
I really don't think I've ever met a reality star,
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
right?
So this
So,
is a bit different for you.
yeah, but I mean, he's an actor, by the way. She's Miss USA, by the
Oh,
way. Like,
really? Oh,
so
okay.
they're known people, by the way, but
Yeah.
right now they're on a reality show, and we all know I
Right.
love my reality TV. So guess what I did? I said, you know what? I need to let this out. So I recorded a post, and I tell the world my experience.
Okay.
And then I don't have a response, you guys, but I did DM him my post
Okay. Oh, you did. There you go. That was a way
so
to
that
communicate.
he can know the two things I wanted to tell him. So I DM'd him my post. So I don't know
Oh,
how
I love
busy
it.
that DM of his is, but
You're
hopefully
too
he gets
funny.
to see that I
Hopefully,
appreciated his kindness and wanted him to know that I too I live in Santa Cruz. So the wife does not want to move here, and he wanted to move here, and
oh,
so
I
that
see.
was an issue, an argument they had, and
That
so
came up.
yes.
Yeah.
And so if
Uh,
you that episode, go watch that episode they talk about. But anyways, but it was so funny. And then too, like, I used it, like we talked about it. We talked about how, and he says, well, not he said, well, the men on the show collectively said that women will never appreciate the husband,
oh,
which
okay.
is BS, right? So anyways,
Okay.
but
Well,
we
that's
talked about it.
interesting.
So
Okay.
I just had to share that. Sorry. I just had to
That's
share
okay.
that because for those of you that don't follow me on social media and follow my
Right.
posts, I just figured I share that. So a
Why not?
little insight to Dawn.
It's relative. Yes.
Yes. So welcome to the journey within. Let's call it that, right? Like the
Yeah.
journey within, I guess, because when you lose yourself, right,
Hmm.
you're losing connection within yourself,
Right. Right.
right? And so I'm hoping to explore with you guys about self discovery and
Hmm.
personal growth. And as women, we all know we pour into everyone but ourselves.
Yes. Yes. And I wonder too if that kind of, I just, as you're saying it, I'm thinking like redefining your purpose, right? Because a lot of
Yes.
times we get lost, right? In serving others and maybe giving our all to
Yes.
others and we forget. So how do we redefine our purpose?
Yes. Yeah. Because, a lot of like parents, like if the kids run their world, what are you going to do when they leave you? Right.
Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
know. And then like you got to unfortunately reconnect with your husband and try to find some common ground.
Right. And you know what? It's funny because a lot of people, you don't realize, but
Yeah.
as time progresses, I've come across certain people in my personal life that are struggling with that, right? I mean,
Yeah.
they're way past the nesting phase, let's say, but there's no connection there.
Hmm.
But that individual or family member doesn't know that the disconnect is from within, like you said.
Yes. Yeah.
Hmm.
Right.
Hmm.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so, it's, again, we're just going to go with this raw conversation, right?
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
I think, we take for granted our everyday lives and, what we're doing. And
Right.
like I said, it, I don't think we pour into ourselves, let alone the marriage sometimes, right? Because
Right.
then, when those kids go away, like, I don't know, if you're not connecting on some kind of level, you're going to grow apart. And
Absolutely.
I
And
think we forget to be friends. Like we forget to date each other, right?
yes, we forget to even do the simple things that we enjoy, right? Wait, we don't even have. I was just thinking, it's funny you say this because I was talking to a girlfriend of mine not too long ago and saying, I almost feel like I have to identify some hobbies that I'm going to look forward to during that stage of life,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because again, this family members that are experiencing this has led me to feel like, wait a don't forget, don't lose sight of that, right?
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you guys, not to get too personal, but, with me, I'm always on a growing journey
Hmm.
as a life coach,
Right.
and, my husband, not so much.
Yeah. But you
So
know what, Don? I think it's one of those things where you need to be in a place where it's almost like, I don't want to say you hit rock bottom. Maybe that's not the right term, but you hit a wall or you hit something that makes you reflect, right? And
mhm,
you have to be at that time in that space precisely in that moment of life, right?
mhm.
So you may be, let's say, ahead of the game in that way, but maybe your spouse or your significant other isn't quite there yet. And you wonder, dude, are you gonna get on board or what's going on
Yes,
right now? Right?
yes. So
Yeah.
I do have to say, if we're not intentional with our time
Right?
and what we give, right, then this is what happens. You float, and you float apart.
Yeah.
So I'm not like majorly concerned because we still have time. Our kids are barely teenagers, but
Okay.
I don't
Yeah.
know. But of course, I wonder, like, wow, like I'm
Right.
on this growing journey, and if he doesn't, get on board, I don't know. And again, I don't say that to be negative or deep, or but
Right.
it crosses your mind, you guys, But
Absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
came in with this talking about us, but like again, this is a raw
Yes.
conversation, and my mind goes, well, and this is where it goes, okay?
Right.
But like life, you can get lost in the chaos of life, right? So disconnect
Right.
from your true self,
Mm-hmm.
and then you can have just day to day things that bring you down, um, or just your demands. I don't know. I just feel we're not living intentional enough. That's I
Right.
think one of the biggest things.
And right now that you're saying that, I'm thinking like when we don't live intentionally, I mean, there's so much that goes around us, right, in our day to day life. I mean, I'm just going to take an example. I know everybody probably uses this example of we consume ourselves with social media,
Mm-hmm.
right? We want to be able to make ourselves fit
Mm-hmm.
in this box or this category, right? So we resort to that. So that's when I think we get lost. We don't try to find ourselves because we're too busy trying to figure out, okay, maybe if I can put myself in this box like these individuals here, then maybe that's where I fit in. So you spend a lot of time like it almost takes it, I don't know, it just perhaps shifts us in another direction. We lose sight of ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not living purposely is what I'm saying.
No, yeah.
Yes, all the
Yeah.
story.
Life is full of twists and turns. And
Right.
like you're saying, we lose sight of, who we are, right? So
Right.
it might happen gradually.
Uh-huh.
It might, accumulate because of
Right.
our responsibilities, our expectations, our external pressures, right? Which we're
Right.
trying to get out earlier. Or,
Yeah.
a sudden trigger of a major life event that
Mm-hmm.
can really break, like, losing a job, or passing of a loved one. Like that's when we always
Yes.
feel it, right? Yes,
Gosh.
right? Passing of a loved one really do that.
Yep.
But regardless of how it happens, the feeling of loss is very common, you guys. And I want you to give yourself grace because it happens to all of us at some point and
Yeah.
for different reasons. And so um I just wish people, I don't know, I'm so lucky. I truly don't do that. I don't compare. I'm just so lucky. Like I can
Mm.
watch social media and see it for what it is. Like it doesn't,
Right.
I don't know, thank God, right? But I
Right. Right.
know a lot of people don't, and they get
Right.
consumed in that. But
Right.
give yourself grace. It all happens to us. But if you have that, like, okay, today, this is my intention today. And remember, we talked about it could be a feeling, Claudia. It doesn't have to be
Right.
something like I
Very
just
true.
want to feel happy. I want to feel good. I want to feel grateful. Like you just have intentions, because if you don't plan, and it's not that things have to go the way you plan. The point is
Right.
to have a direction, right? So I think that's how we can get lost because we let our day to day drive us, and that's not what should drive you.
No. No, we I think it's important to just seek a variety of experiences,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Maybe something that's going to help us find our niche, or something that's going to help us, I don't know, just get out of the day to day, like you said. Don't consume ourselves with that routine, right?
Hmm.
We consistently
Hmm.
find ourselves in that routine, and it's hard to get out of it. But do you ever stop and think, like, wait, I'm ti I'm tired of doing this same thing day in, day out. I mean, it
Hmm.
gets boring. It gets
Hmm.
stale.
Hmm.
Relationships get stale, right?
Yeah. And some people drive off of that. Some people like having the redundancy, right? And like having the routine.
Mhm.
And I get
Mhm.
it. That's like, have your routine.
Absolutely.
I'm not saying not have that,
Right.
but
Right.
you just have to make sure at some point in that routine, you're pouring into yourself. You
For
have to
sure.
reflect, right? Like you have to literally sit and say, what matters to me? Like, what I'm trying to pour into my kids right now is they're young and obviously they're going to take things for granted, but I always tell them, I want you to envision your future. Envision, and it doesn't have to be way into the future, okay? But like I'm
Right.
telling them, like, what do you like? I remember, and again, I can't say I don't know, okay? But I remember being a kid and thinking, "Ooh, this is what I want my life to be." Like this is what I want to do. And
Right.
I don't know if our kids these days are doing that. Do you know what I
Mhm.
mean? I don't
Mhm.
know if they are because there's nothing to their imagination. Everything is instant on on Instagram. Um, but I try to get their wheels turning by like, okay, you know, like really, how do you see yourself? What do you want your life to be like?
Right.
Like, and they look at me like, Mom, really, you're gonna life coach me? Yes, I am. You know what I mean? Like,
Absolutely. Hey,
um,
but you're planting the seeds, and you're getting them, you get those little wheels to turn, And
yes,
that's important, because at the very least, let's say they're not implementing what you're suggesting in that moment, but believe you me, they walk away at some point in time, and they're always going to hear the background voice of their mom saying, "How did you envision your life?" You know?
I do believe that because I've told you guys how seeds were planted in me and I didn't realize it, and they stuck with me. Certain questions and
Sure.
comments stuck with
Sure.
me and helped shape me. So
Right?
I do believe in the power in our words, and so I really try to do that with my kids. But um, by the way, Claudia,
Yes.
I know you, and it's okay. I'm sure you don't know, but I posted last week. I recorded
Okay.
with Evie.
Oh, you know what? I did come across that one, by the way.
Oh, sorry. So no,
Yeah.
I did the post. Yes, you did. But I'm
Okay.
saying like the episode. Sorry.
Like episode,
So
an actual
yes.
episode.
So
Okay.
we did a whole episode, and it was so funny because this girl, she's obviously my kid, but she thinks she knows it all or whatever, and
I
she has
love
strong
it.
opinions. And I've been
Yeah.
trying to get her on, and I think she's been nervous. And that day, she was like vomit of
On.
the mouth, and I'm like, you know what? Why don't we record? Yeah, okay. Why don't we? Well, go ahead. Let's go. So we go and record, and like me, the conversation was a little, it's just raw, very raw. So one from
Okay.
one thing to another.
Okay.
um but what was my point in telling you that? But oh, so like, so of course she's like, yeah, you always try to life coach us or whatever. So I told people in the episode, like, I too have my problems and my
Yeah.
struggles with my family, right? Like I am not exempt from that.
Nope.
But the thing is, people can judge me and I don't care. But like I don't have those expectations on my husband and my kids,
Right.
right? So like we do that to each other, right? People are going to say, "Oh, well, she's a life coach, she's this, she's that. So her kids are going to be this, her husband, and this is where they get into that judginess, right? Like,
Yes.
because I'm telling you, my husband's not a bad person, but I know some people that don't know me or like don't know the inside, right?
Right.
If
Mhm.
you're not in the inner circle, it's not going to make sense to you.
Right.
And you're like,
Absolutely.
what? Like that's um but there is a balance, and you got to have balance. So him and I, there's a balance, right? So and then like my kids too, like, God, you think they'd be more motivated? No, they're not, you guys, So it's funny that, you people just make that assumption, like, oh, you have it together, so your family is going to have it together. No, that's not true.
Right.
And as you know, as kids, they're going to, without realizing it, intentionally not have it together because they're going against, like, we're the enemy right now. We all know this, right? So it's just funny. So since I know certain things, I don't
Hmm.
let those things bother me, or I don't like get caught up in the
Sure.
expectation. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
I'm just trying to create good human beings for the world.
Hmm.
I'm not
Hmm.
thinking, like you need to go out there and make me proud and do this. No, you need to be a good human. You know what I mean? Like, so
Before
I'm,
anything, right?
yes,
Right.
because I feel that if I equip them with those tools, whatever they decide to do,
Yes.
they can do.
Absolutely. No, I love that. And again, I think in those moments, even though it might feel it goes in through one ear and comes out through the other, believe you me, that all those conversations are not for no reason,
Right.
right? There is a purpose. And believe me, that somewhere down the line, it might be 5, 10, 15 years from now, they're going to look back and think, gosh, that I get it. My mom or my dad, obviously, because you both shape your children in
Yeah.
different
Yep.
ways,
Yep.
that they're gonna look back and think, wow, that was pretty meaningful, or that was pretty useful, or something stuck to that, right?
Yeah, I know. So I'm not gonna lie. One fear that I have is I'm too confident on certain things and it might backfire. Like I take for granted, like, oh, you'll appreciate me later. Oh man, maybe they won't.
Like, or
You know what
not.
I mean? Like,
Yeah,
I'm like, ah, yeah, yeah, yeah. You'll appreciate me later. I'm okay. I'm not your friend. Like I'm so like, not phased by that, right? Unfazed or whatever.
right.
But so I'm like, oh crap, that might backfire one day. You never know, you guys. I don't know. I don't claim to
Never
know it all,
know.
but
No.
I just like to, be mindful, be intentional.
Right.
Just those things. I just like to make sure I instill those things in them,
Sure.
but trust me, you meet my daughter, and oh my God, I hear it every time. Like, wow,
Oh
it's
yeah,
like,
she's in her element right now,
hmm
and she represents, and she will represent what's she's gonna be. I actually, I'm saying this because I had a conversation with her not too long ago, and
hmm
I'm thinking, girl, you're gonna be all right. You know, you're gonna make it in this world.
oh, somehow,
Undoubtedly, undoubtedly, she's gonna be so. She has her megaphone with her everywhere she goes, and you can
yes.
truly engage in meaningful conversations with this girl. She's well rooted and she is bright. So you are doing a great job.
Oh, we'll find out. Thank you. We'll find out. I don't know. Because it's funny. In the episode, we touched on a little bit, a few things, but she assumes I don't know certain things about her, and I'm like, girl, I knew before you knew, like, and so yes, I don't know your every deepest, darkest thoughts or feeling or whatever. Like, no,
Mhm,
but trust me, a parent knows. One that's connected anyway, one that's in tuned, right? And we were
mhm.
definitely in tuned with each other,
Right. Absolutely.
right? So it's just it's funny. We'll see, because she mentioned something that I did and it would bother her, but I'm okay with that because
Right.
I was always very clear with why I said or did something,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
And so, because, being brave is hard, and she was a brave little girl. And so I would tell her, hey, girl, that's going to come with looks. That's going to come with comments. But that's their problem, not yours, and
Right.
you cannot be concerned with that. So,
Right.
um, so yeah, it was so, and she got choked up. I'm like, if you really listen to it, you can hear. And I was like,
Oh,
oh, and so I won't go, just out of respect for her, I will say
right.
that after the recording, I think a day or two later, she comes up to me and says, what did you mean by that? Like, and I was like, trust me, I know. So we talked about some specific things. And
Nice.
so she did express some stuff to me.
Yeah.
And we talked a little bit. We only touched on it. And it's so funny because I'm like over here thinking she's not ready. I'm not ready for that conversation.
You're like, it's the other way around.
Yes, I'm like, I don't know if I want to have that conversation, damn it.
Yeah.
So who knows? Maybe she's ready and I'm not.
It's
But
okay. And that's okay too. That's a fair game, you know?
yeah, no, but it was
Yeah.
interesting because you think you're doing right, or you think, I'm telling you, and
I know.
you don't know because they process their own way, they deal with their,
Absolutely. And
um,
I think that's such an important message, though, that you're saying right now, because a lot of times as parents, I know we say we know better,
yeah, but no,
but sometimes we don't.
no,
To be honest with you, because we went through our own experiences in our own
mm-hmm,
way,
mm-hmm,
and every child is different. Even if they're connected to you
mm-hmm,
genetically, they're
mm-hmm,
still their own being, and they're still
yes.
going to experience their experiences in their own ways.
Yes, yes. And I'm not, I will be the first to admit I need to listen more because I'm always quick. I always have something to say. I can't help that. That's just, she has to accept that. But I need to be mindful and listen first and then say what I need to say. 'Cause a
Absolutely.
lot of times I don't let her finish.
Yeah. And
I
you
know
just
my
like
flaws.
you want to be respectful of that. And I
No,
think
no,
it's
for sure. No, and I am. Oh, trust me, she'll correct me, girl. And then I'm like, okay, fine.
she'll
Fine.
crack me up.
I'll stop.
I
But
know.
it was funny because we were talking earlier about how, like, just relationships with kids or whatever, and how your husband can be one way and then you're another way, and it's so funny. Things that bother me don't bother him. But I think we're
Right.
being way off topic. But just because we talked about this, it was so funny. I'm more like, say what needs to be said. Like, I don't care, even if I
Right.
don't like to hear it. Like, it just, because my voice was, I felt taken from me as a kid. Like, I
Right.
couldn't express myself. I wasn't allowed to say certain things, right? So
Sure.
naturally, I'm going all the way on the dial with my kids, or say whatever you want. Like, not really, but you know what I mean, right?
Right.
So they can get frustrated. They can say what they need to say, and we can talk it out. But oh, my husband's not like that.
Of course. Yeah.
Like, it's, oh, I'm your dad, be respectful stuff. Like, I
Right.
don't want to hear that, or I don't know, I'm not like that. So
Yeah.
I would like to think they have a balance, and that's what they're
That's
gonna
what
have
I
to
was gonna
learn,
say.
right?
Right, right. Because he only says that because that's what he knows, and that's
Hmm.
what how he was brought up, and
Hmm.
a lot of it could be culturally and
Oh
all
yeah,
sorts of things
for
that go
sure.
into that, right?
Yeah.
But I think it's regardless, as much as sometimes as parents fight that, oh, I wouldn't want my child to have these tendencies of my significant other. Reality is they're likely going to have they have a little bit of both of you, and
Hmm.
that's something we have to respect. We
Yeah, and
just
I've said it and I'll say it. I feel sorry for her spouse because he has my attitude, which is, believe me, big enough, good and bad. The good and bad of my attitude. But she has his temperament, girl. Oh my God.
right.
Like, I need to be like, you can poke. Like, it takes me a
Sure.
minute to get there. Not with him and not with her. Oh my God. So imagine, I'm always referee. I'm like so over that. But anyway, sorry guys. I'm getting off topic here.
No, it's okay.
Um, I just thought, this would be a good conversation because we do. And if you're wondering how, to find yourself again, like, you really do need to reflect, sit
Mhm.
and reflect, because who you are today is not who you were when you started your relationship and your family, right?
Right.
And so I think we have to accept change and growth, right? And our growth, right? So, and even if, like, you're dissatisfied with where you're at, like, I'm not by any means saying any of this is easy, but I do get a little frustrated with people, especially people that I know and know their tendencies, not people I don't know. But
Right.
I can't stand people complaining, but yet they do nothing to change it. If you're
Right.
not happy, you don't like something, and I'm not saying it's easy, you know what I mean? And I'm not saying there's always an answer, but then
Hmm.
guess what?
Hmm.
Don't let it affect you the way it does. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, because I've talked to people that are they just don't want to see their way out of something. And it's like, look,
Sure.
I can't help you then. You know what I mean? But then guess what? If this is what it's going to be, then don't let it affect you the way it's affecting you, because it's eating at you. And you can lose yourself that way, right? Like, you're stripping yourself of that joy, that peace, like, so I'm not saying there's always an answer, I feel where there's a will, there's a way. So there's some way. But until you get to that realization, you're just going to have to accept it and not resist it.
Right. Yeah. That's so true. And it's again, it's hard. Every you have to walk the walk, right? The journey looks different for everyone. Some, timelines are longer than others, but I think in the end, you gotta do the work. You gotta, and
Mm-hmm.
that's hard. It's hard to confront. It's hard to face what that work could look like,
Mm-hmm.
right? But that is part of self-reflection. That is a
Right?
way to,
Yes.
if you want to see something different, you had to do something different, right?
Yes. And so what they say a lot of times is, because let's say you don't know how to get there, or you don't think you do, right? Or um, you know, you have to visualize yourself. Let me tell you, this is so funny about work. Hilarious. So we're moving, right? And I think I've discussed this possibly. And so it was so funny. So remember, I work with doctors, guys, right? So Usually they're older than me.
Mhm.
One in this conversation, one is and one's not. Okay. And so, I cannot turn life coaching off. Everyone knows I'm a life coach at work. And so the doctor was like, "Oh my God, the new building does not have windows." I said, "I know. That's so annoying." I was the first one to point that out, okay? Because our building right now, there's windows all around. And my part of the lab, oh, we have the windows, okay?
Yeah.
Um, so throughout anyway, so it was so funny. So she's like, only two of the offices have window, Dawn, and there's six of us, right? And so the medical director is like, "Look, we're spinning the wheel or dialing, we're spinning something, and you're going to pick a number, and whoever gets the biggest number is going to whatever," right? So he goes on like, "I'm keeping this, you know,
I love it.
easy peasy," right? So he's like,
Right.
"You're going to spin, and whoever gets the number gets to pick whatever," right?
Sure.
So she's looking at me like, and I looked at him, I'm like, "Oh my God." And I, mouth, like, I'm like trying to not be so obvious. I'm like, "She needs the window." Like, I'm like, "Please," he's all like, "Nope," like it's a draw, right?
Fair and square.
So I
Yeah.
turned around and said, "Okay, look, you got to manifest that. You need to sit there and see yourself in that office with that window. You got to visualize what you want. Okay, manifest it, put it out
Yes.
there. I want that window. I need that window. That window is mine. And you need to." And she's looking at me. I'm like, I don't want to say her name, lady. So I'm gonna call her lady. Lady, I'm for real. Like, you got to manifest that. Visualize yourself, and you will get that window. And she's looking at me like, "Okay, Dawn." I'm like, and I looked at the other doctor, and I'm like, and he goes, he's so cute. He's like, "It's true." He knows it's true. Like, because I love him. He is
Awesome.
um a follower. He listens to all
I
my
was going to
episodes,
say,
and I
what are you,
just,
Don and
yeah.
friend supporter?
Yes,
Right.
he is, and I love that. So he's all like, she's right. You gotta listen to her. So I said, so when we walked out, I'm like, "Seriously, lady," I'm gonna call her lady. "You need to manifest this, and I'm telling you, it works." Well, guess what? She got the window.
No.
She got the
Oh my
window.
goodness.
So I said, "Excuse
Right?
me, excuse me, excuse me. You gotta come over here in front of witnesses because I'm
Yes.
preaching this stuff all the time."
You're
Now,
like, kiss my hand.
no,
Okay.
no, 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 no. But I was like, because it was just the two doctors and myself, right?
Okay.
So I pulled him into where my team is at, and I'm like, "Can you please tell us how this went down?" And she's all, so it's so funny. So before we went in there, she did tell me, she
Funny.
goes, "I'm gonna tell you, Dawn, I didn't do like you," because I said every day or whatever. I was being dramatic, whatever, right? But I was like, "But you gotta mean it when you do these things. Like, you gotta feel it. Like, you really, it can't
Feel
just
it,
be, you know what I
vision
mean?"
it.
Right.
Right.
So she told me, "I'm not gonna lie, I didn't do it as much as I probably should have, but I did. I really did. I did visualize myself. I did it." And I said, "Can you please come in here and tell this to everybody else?"
I
So I
love
pulled her
it.
in there, and she's like, "Yeah, I wanted the window," and she told me to manifest it, to visualize myself there. And she is ecstatic. She is so happy. Like, she got it. And
Oh.
I'm telling you, and then the other doctor too, he was like, he's our old, not old by age, but the one that worked there the longest. And he got the window, and he was the one that's like, "I want that window." Like, he was
Oh.
like, "You're giving it to me,"
Adamant
type of
about
thing,
it.
right?
It's
Yeah, like,
happening. Yeah.
and I don't know. I would like to think he probably would have taken a fit if he didn't get it, but who knows? But let me tell you, I'm gonna have to go ask him. But I'm telling you, he manifests that. He's all like, "Oh no, it's mine." Like, he claimed it. So
Very.
I want to tell you guys, it is possible. You need to visualize yourself. Like, and it's anything, if you want to, like, about how your day is, like, because I know a lot of people are not very decisive, right? And so they can't be very specific. But it, like, even if you just focus on the feeling,
Hmm. Yeah.
like, you really need to, like, "Oh, I would love to just go through this day feeling like this," or like,
Oh,
you really need to just invite that in, or put that out there, like,
right.
live with intention. So I can say this over and over, but you have to know, us repeating ourselves is helping you. We're trying to plant the seed. So if you're like, "Yeah, girl, you said that two different ways." "Yeah, girl, because I want you to get it." Like, I want it to sink in. Okay.
It
So
worked.
yes. So my breakaway tip is to be intentional, Set, sit there daily, set intentions daily, you know what I mean? And if that's too much for you, then hourly, like you figure that out, what works for you, okay? Like however you process, but you really do got to have more intentions, self reflect, like really sit down and figure out what matters to you, what makes you feel good, what, reflect, 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 there's journaling that you can do. You can do mantras, daily mantras, like, that's my thing. But you can't control your first thought, but let me tell you, you can control that second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. So bear
Right.
that in mind. So when that negativity comes through the first time, you can't control that. Yes,
Right.
but you can
Right.
control anything after that. So just please know that you are capable. It is within you. You have that power. And if you're feeling lost, it all happens. Give yourself that grace. Okay, it is okay. But it's not the destination, is your journey. Focus on your journey, people. Okay. And things may not always go as you thought or planned, but just enjoy your journey. So keep pushing, keep shining, keep thriving.